So I'm going to start off by moisturising my lips with this 8-hour cream from Elizabeth Arden. And then I'm going to go in with my new thing, which is a Glam Glow Hydrating Mask. It smells incredible, like almonds, but what you do is you place it on the areas that you need the most. So for me, it's kind of like my cheeks, my nose and my forehead, wherever that is dry, really. You can apply this at night time and leave it on throughout the night, or apply it by daytime and then make sure that you rub it in afterwards. But this stuff is incredible, like I swear by it. So definitely have a little look if you're in the market for a new mask that's very hydrating. And I leave this on for a good 15 minutes and pretty much just basically go on YouTube, have a look at my phone, and then once that is over, I just rub it all in and make sure it's all moisturised as well. Then next up is, of course, my standard primer. I love this, it actually works. And yeah, Nikki Tutorials, you are so true on your word. This is amazing stuff. So I use this to like merge it in. It's got glycerin in it, which is a great way of holding makeup in. Next up, classic Skin Enhancer by Kevyn Aucoin. This is really good for if you desperately need a concealer. It's not an everyday one, I must admit, but it's something that you can use if you want to get rid of some really intense dark circles, or in my case, some particular kind of blemishes. But also, I like using this to sculpt out my brows. As I said before in my previous videos, I am lazy with my brows, so I tend to do them first and then go on to the rest of my makeup as well. But I use this stuff just to kind of sculpt them out and give it a bit of a good preparation for my foundation. But what I'm doing now is just blending it all in, just making sure that it gives a good even coverage. It is a very, very, very thick concealer, so make sure you do blend it in, otherwise you're going to feel really cakey throughout the whole day. I'm reaching out for my NARS. I love this foundation. I went a bit off recently, I'd say, but I absolutely like this foundation just because it's very, as the words put it on the bottle, weightless. It's just a really nice foundation. The coverage is brilliant. Applying it is very good. The dupe for this is by far going to be the L'Oreal True Match foundation, and I'm going to relate to the new one. So I guess we call it the new and improved kind of foundation that's got better things in it. I don't really know what difference there is. There's just better blending from that foundation anyway. Next up, this is the contouring bit. So you don't have to do this, but I like doing this. I like building up a base. So I use a contouring stick. These are brilliant. They're from Kiko. They're £5. No, they're not. £10.70 or £10.90. They're brilliant. It comes also with an illuminating pen as well, which is good for highlighting. But I do like using this a fair bit. If you're lazy one day and you don't want to kind of go into the proper intense face, then just use a little bit of this and it gives you the perfect contour. But I tend to apply this the minute I finish my foundation, just because I find it blends a lot easier and you've got a bit more to work with, I guess. But I like to layer this up a little bit more until I find that the right amount is good. Use a brush that is the right size for contouring. If you use something too big, you're just going to blend too much of it. But this is light blending, like I can express how light of a touch you have. Of course, I'm going to set this because I've done my concealer a little bit, and also I did that pen, so I want to make sure that that cream substance is setting with the powder. So next up is going to be my concealer. Standard as per usual. I want to get into a new one soon, but this is my Urban Decay concealer. Now this is brilliant for contouring because what you're doing is contrasting against the contouring. So you want to bring a bit more lightness to your under eye so that it reflects off of your contouring line. You don't have to. I must admit, you don't have to, but if you want to contour, like fully go in, use this. And I would always suggest using a beauty blender as best as possible when you're doing this. Gives a beautiful it gives a beautiful kind of finish, and also as well it just moves in really nicely. And of course go back in with your powder and set it all. So at this point I tend to go in and do my bottom lash. I've learned throughout many years that this is the best way to do it, and I use a brush. I use my powder brush to lean on so I don't have to smudge any of my concealer that I've done previously. And then I go in with a blending brush. This is my new one from Zoeva, and I love it. It's so, so good. It's weird and crazy and it's probably quite sad, but I fall in love with the brush. It just happens, you know, in the makeup world. So this is going to be, now this is more of a blending, so it's a base tone for my bronzing and contouring. It's kind of like a shimmery bronzer, but it's not a heavy bronzer, from Body Shop. I love it, and I'm using that big old brush just to kind of give a coverage throughout the whole of the face. Next up is the Real Contouring Lime. Now, I use a very cheap contouring kit from eBay. It cost me like £6 or maybe £3 or maybe £2, but it was flipping cheap. And this is the brush I use, which is a Kevin Aucoin brush. It is a contouring brush and it fits perfectly in my cheekbones. I must admit it cost me about £35, but it was a treat. So I don't expect you guys to go out and get a brush exactly like that. Find a brush very similar with that kind of dumpy dome shape that fits perfectly in your cheekbones. But again, we're going back to the feathering, so very feathery light sort of touches with the brush, especially because you want to make sure you don't want to pack on loads and you don't want to move your makeup. Like, it's all about kind of bouncing off that product, and make sure that you do the edges of your contouring as well. I always do the nose. Not everyone likes a good nose contour. I do. I just think it suits me. So try it and see how you feel, but it's definitely good to do. And of course, now, always do this, but make sure you contour your jawline. Like, you don't have to do a proper intense one, but always make sure you do. Now, next up, going in the blusher. I don't always tend to wear blusher, but as and when I do, I apply it. I go in a big brush, quite a dumpy, round, big brush, and I, again, pattern it in. Patting is good. Pat it in, into place, and then kind of brush it to give it a bit more of a pigment. But always, always, and I swear by this, go over with your powder brush or whatever brush you have been using and just even out those edges, but also it tones down that intense colour that you've popped onto your cheeks. Just keep doing that for the whole process, in between each stage. Next up, go with your highlighter. I like applying this halfway, so a space before my hairline and just before the pupils of my eyes. You don't want to go intensely, like too over. But then saying that, I do like a little bit of a highlight on my cheeks. So it depends what you fancy, and then go for your nose, the tip of your nose, because it makes your nose look a bit more pointy and dumpier, and then obviously your chin and a bit of the top of the head. Now, I like to layer highlighters. I'm a sucker for highlighters, so I'm going in with a great example if you don't have a highlighter, and this is just something from my Smashbox palette that you can use, and I've applied it on top as well. Powder that all in, blend it all in as we like doing before. Do a bit of the Fix Plus because it is really good to set all that if you have one. And at the end, I like kind of going in underneath that line that we've created and just make it a bit more obvious and clear. So it all really depends on how many stages you want to do. You don't have to do all of this, but this is my comfortable contouring routine. It works for me, it's beautiful, I like it, it's just how I do things. So you can definitely cut out a few different areas. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you like anything else. Subscribe and like, and I shall see you guys next time. Have a lovely day wherever you are. Bye!